This year, have you noticed any ants? There were probably black garden ants in Britain, also known as Lasius niger, the most prevalent ant in all of Europe. One of between 12,000 and 20,000 kinds, they are interesting as well as the bane of gardeners. The tiny, black, wingless workers scamper across the sidewalks, clamber up your plants to tend to aphids, or scavenge delicious treats from your kitchen. And these non-winged workers' reproductive siblings are the flying ants that sporadically emerge on a hot summer evening. You should also be aware of the following. You primarily observe female ants. There is a hierarchy of responsibility among ants. The colony's founder, the queen, is responsible for egg production. All worker ants are female, and this sisterhood is what keeps the colony running smoothly. Their duties include taking care of the queen and the young, foraging, keeping the peace during disputes within the colony, and disposing of garbage. Most likely, workers will never have children of their own. The majority of eggs grow into workers, however, once the colony is prepared, the queen creates the subsequent reproductive generation, which will later establish its own colonies. Diet, not heredity, mostly determines whether a female ant becomes a worker or a queen. Any female ant larva has the potential to become the queen. Those who do are fed a diet higher in protein. Less protein is consumed by the other larvae, which causes them to become workers. Essentially, male ants are essentially flying sperm. The amount of genome copies an ant has determines its sex, unlike humans who have X and Y chromosomes. Since male ants are created from unfertilized eggs, they do not inherit a father's genome. This implies that although male ants have grandfathers and can have grandsons, they do not have fathers and cannot produce sons. In contrast, female ants grow from fertilized eggs and have two copies of their genome, one from their mother and one from their father. Ant males behave like flying sperm. Since they only have one copy of their genome, each of their sperm is genetically identical to them. Their work is also short-lived because they pass away shortly after mating, yet their sperm may survive for years. In essence, their sole function is reproduction. Queens go weeks without eating after sex. The flying virgin queens and males leave their nests in search of mates when the weather is warm and muggy. This is how Flying Ant Day is observed. In L. niger, mating occurs on the wing, frequently hundreds of meters, yards, above the ground, hence the need for good weather. Queens then fall to the ground and shed their wings, whereas males pass away instantly. Mated queens pick a location for their nest and dig down into the moist earth. The queens won't eat once they're underground for weeks, or until they've given birth to their own daughter workers. They lay their first batch of eggs, which they then fertilize using sperm they have conserved from their nuptial flight, using energy from their fat reserves and redundant flight muscles. A queen can continue to lay fertilized eggs for the rest of her life because she has access to the same store of sperm that was once used by long-dead men. Queens don't mate once more. Homemaking the ant way involves collaboration, servitude, and death. At times, two L. niger queens work together to establish a nest. Once new adult workers appear, this initially cooperative relationship that boosts the likelihood of creating a colony dissipates, and the queens then engage in a death-defying battle. Even worse, L. niger colonies have been known to kidnap neighboring colonies' offspring and use them as slave labor. Many ant species have evolved the ability to create slaves, yet they also exhibit exceptional levels of cooperation. A supercolony of Argentine ants, Linopithema humul, that spans 3,700 miles, 6,000 kilometers of European shoreline from Italy to northwest Spain is an extreme example of this. It is made up of literally billions of workers from millions of collaborating nests. Unlike male ants, queen ants can live for decades. The queen's task is not finished once she has established her colony. She still has many years of egg-laying ahead of her. Niger queens have survived for almost 30 years and the lab males survive little more than a week, while workers live for roughly a year, although their sperm live longer. These remarkable variations in lifespan are solely attributable to the manner in which their genes are turned on and off. The environment and people can benefit from ants. Ants have a wide variety of roles in ecosystems all throughout the world. Some ants are regarded as pests, while others serve as biological pest controllers. By distributing seeds, pollinating plants, and enhancing soil quality, ants help ecosystems. Additionally beneficial to human health, ants have the potential to be a source of novel medications like antibiotics. Ants are stronger than humans. Ants have jaws that can support 50 times their own body weight in weight. Their muscles are thicker than those of larger animals, even humans, relative to their size. They can exert more force and carry heavier loads thanks to this ratio. You could lift a Hyundai above your head if you had muscles that were the size of ants. Long before humans, ants began farming. About 50 million years before humans began to consider growing their own food, fungus farming ants started their own agricultural endeavors. According to the earliest evidence, ants may have started farming as far ago as 70 million years ago, during the early Tertiary era. What's more amazing is that these ants developed fertilization methods using manure and secreted compounds with antibiotic qualities to suppress mold growth in order to increase crop yields. Ant scouts leave scent trails to direct other animals to food. Foraging ants can efficiently obtain and store food by using pheromone trails left by scout ants from their colony. To find food, a scout ant first exits the nest and wanders aimlessly until it comes across something tasty. After eating part of the food, it immediately makes its way back to the nest. Scout ants appear to be able to notice and remember visual signals that help them find their way back to the nest rapidly. The scout ants leave a trail of pheromones, special aromas they secrete, along the path back that directs their nestmates to the meal. The foraging ants then proceed down the path indicated by the scout ant, each one enhancing the trail's aroma to make it more convincing to other ants. Until the food source runs out, worker ants move back and forth along the track. An ant's lungs are absent. Ants lack the space necessary to support a sophisticated respiratory system like ours because of their diminutive size. Instead, they use unique respiratory strategies to assist circulate oxygen throughout their body. How do ants breathe? Spiracles, which are holes on the sides of an ant's body, are how they take in oxygen. A system of tubes connecting the spiracles aids in the distribution of oxygen to practically all of the cells in their body. The oxygen is forced through the tubes by an ant's movement, and the carbon dioxide that is released also leaves the system through the tubes. Since ants lack ears. Ants lack ears, unlike other pests like rodents. They are not, however, deaf as a result. Just how do ants hear? Ants employ vibrations as a hearing aid and as a warning or food-finding signal. Ants pick up ground vibrations in the subgenual organ, which is positioned below the knee, in order to hear. Around the world, there are more than 12,000 different species of ants. Additionally, none of the 12,000 different ant species exhibit the same behaviors. The common carpenter ant, which can be found in North America, bores into wood to create hollow dwelling rooms. The bullet ant of South America is named for its extremely severe sting, which feels like being fired. The honeypot ants of South India store honey. They consume so much of it that you can see it inside of them. Don't be fooled, each of the 11,997 more ant species has a peculiar behavior. Ants and plants can coexist harmoniously. Ant plants, also known as myrmecophytes, are plants that naturally have hollows where ants can rest or forage. These spaces could be found in hollow stems, thorns, or even leaf petioles. The hollows are home to the ants, which eat sugary plant fluids or insects' excrement. What does a plant receive in return for such opulent lodging? The ants protect the host plant against insects and herbivorous animals, and they may even remove parasitic plants that try to take root on it. Therefore, the next time you meet an ant, think again before deciding to kill her. This is all for today. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for more videos. Stay tuned with AWZ.